Cardi diet and asthma, Harry. Any research you may have come across in this area? Yeah, plenty, plenty. Depends on the type of asthma. My younger sister used to have structural asthma. She's got none. I cured it for her. So it took me about 10 months, but she basically, lung surfactant, if it's structural, can be due to lung surfactant. There are other reasons where vitamin D deficiency can be a problem as well, because vitamin D plays an important role in the collagen degrading enzymes that operate within the actual lungs. So lung remodeling and all that. There is a prime role for for vitamin D, and menaquinone 4 plays a sort of a secondary role there. Then there is so that can affect the way the actual villi in there and the general structure works. And so taurine does also play a role because it does lower fibrotic tissue in the lungs. So basically the sun and a steak will actually fix most people if they were on an ancestral diet. Most young people now eat just garbage from birth. So that's probably another reason driving it. And the other one is structural, which is basically lung surfactant. And lung surfactant is made of 2 items. This is what my sister had: choline, and she has the same genetics that I have. I had touch asthma and basically bronchitis touch asthma when I was young. I suffered quite a few. Then I went to Greece at about 12 and a half. And when I went there, I started eating a lot of animal products. I would have got the taurine from the dairy and other things. And what would have happened is, and the choline from the foods that I was eating. And as a consequence, without realizing, I fixed my touch asthma. Bronchitis went away within a couple of months. I'd been struggling for years as a youngster. Then I go to Greece. I go on a more animal-based diet because back in the 70s, late 70s, early 80s, this still the bullshit from America hadn't become widespread, the low-fat bullshit. And there were just wall-to-wall animal foods. I hardly ate vegetables, cut some a bit here and there, but primarily it was dairy and animal foods constantly as a youngster, and I loved them, So radically changed my health, got rid of my asthma. When my sister had been doing 25 years of vegetarianism, my younger sister, and if you look at her, she looks much older than me, even though she's 11 months younger than me. Her skin is older, many other aspects. So that whole lifestyle did her a lot of damage. Let's put it that way. Anybody that knows my sister, and Hello Kitty has met her, knows exactly what I'm saying, and she can vouch for me that basically she looks way older than me, even though she's younger than me. And that tells you everything about a vegetarian diet. And she basically had structural asthma. Lung surfactant is made of 2 things: choline and palmitate. Yes, the evil saturated fat palmitate. It's those 2. And when you don't eat enough saturated fat and get enough choline by eating eggs, animal or liver or muscle meat, you will be deficient in choline, and your lung surfactant structurally won't form properly. And also, if you've got the wrong type of fats from seed oils or whatever, which are basically because palmitate is carbon 16. Some of the damaged, deranged, especially some of the actual hydrogenized, PUFAs from seed oils, those ones basically are carbon 16. When they incorporate into the lung surfactant, displacing palmitate because you're not getting enough in the diet, what happens is then those don't signal properly. So your lung surfactant can't work properly to cause gas exchanges. Without proper gas exchange, you can't clear particulates that you're getting from the atmosphere. And so you've got far more particulates that are not being cleared. And as a consequence, you've got far more reactivity and inflammation and eventually autoimmune sort of effects in the lungs. It sort of all goes together. So you get on an ancestral diet with vitamin D, problem all goes away very quickly. And that's what happened with me as a youngster. My sister, on the other hand, for whatever deranged reason, she decided to go vegetarian and alternative. She's a bit alternative anyway. And she pretty much ended up where she ended up. And then she came back here a couple of years back when the crisis hit in Greece. She had to live with me for 10 months and eat my food. And she struggled eating meat. And eventually she did, because, didn't have much money. So she had to eat what I was cooking. And eventually she started eating more and more of my stuff. And she was still lightly smoking, you know. And so even though she was lightly smoking, you'd say, well, smoking, asthma went completely away. And even when her asthma went completely away and she changed her diet, became more carnivorous, she still smoked for a period of time. She only recently stopped it about a couple of months back, that she stopped it. So it had no relationship. So even though she was a smoker and she only recently stopped it, and, the asthma went away, because it was not basically related to the asthma, to the smoking. It was related to basically something structural that needed to be fixed. And she also had certain genetics where she required to get choline from the diet. She couldn't basically produce it endogenously, synthesize it. So she had very poor synthesis capacity, like I have. It runs in the family, causes fatty liver, and she had fatty liver as well. So, eventually it all got sorted out and her asthma went away like magic. Yes, nothing like an ancestral diet. And she didn't even go full well, occasionally every year she does 1 month of, the carnival day, and then she goes back to putting a few. So she's sort of low carbish. Occasionally she switches back to carnivore. She does a couple of months in the year carnivore, but she's not strict. Let's put it that way. But still, her health is way better in that. So yes, she does do taurine as well.